Open plan kitchen living spaces are popular, but surprisingly hard to get right. Hello, if you are a subscriber, welcome back. If you're new to the channel, my name is Neil and I have been a real-life architect in the UK since 2009. In my day job, I specialise in altering and extending private homes, and in this video I'm going to explore 3 separate design ideas for open plan kitchen living spaces. All the projects shown in this video are from my own work. Most people get hung up on costs or technical challenges, but after 13 years designing open plan spaces, I have one top tip to help you choose the right open plan layout for you, and it has nothing to do with budgets or structural issues. Stay tuned to find out. I'm going to start with the most basic type of open plan layout and work up to the most complex. There are pros and cons to each open plan option, and these apply whether you are altering your existing home or building a new house. Let's start with the easiest open plan layout, the rectangular open plan space. Now, this layout is so simple, you might be tempted to ask, what's the difference between a room and an open plan space? Is a bedroom open plan? No, because a bedroom has just one function, most of the time.
This is where the magic happens.
Okay, I digress. To be an open plan space, a room must incorporate more than one function at the same time. In this case, the space is split between kitchen, dining, and living areas. With a rectangular layout, it's vital to try and differentiate between the different functions, otherwise they can blend into one another. The space will lack clarity. To show you what I mean, in this design, I created a distinct source of natural light for each space. The kitchen has a long ribbon window at the countertop. The dining area has full height glazing from floor to ceiling, and the living area has a deep window seat with mature plants just outside. Notice how the living space is also subtly divided off using a low partition wall. With a rectangular space, proportion is very important. This room is 4 times longer than its width. With such a long space, a low ceiling would be oppressive, so I designed the ceiling to be as tall as the room is wide, so the room looks square at each end. Simple rectangular open plan areas pose serious difficulties for some people, and I will come back to that in a few minutes. Next up, we have the L-shaped open plan layout. This one has the same kitchen dining living split, but it goes round a corner. You can create an L-shaped layout in a new build house, but this one was built as an extension to an existing house. The kitchen area was part of the original building, and the living and dining space are in the extension. You don't have to work so hard to differentiate between the individual areas in an L-shaped space. It can be more compact than a rectangular open plan space, but keep in mind sources of natural light. Because one leg of the L might be further away from the windows, it could become very dark. I designed in a roof light over the kitchen to address the issue in this project. And finally, we have a split level open plan layout. This is usually only appropriate if the existing site is steep or sloping. It also costs more to build than the other two, as it usually involves more complex structural arrangements and more junctions. A split-level open plan can be dynamic and allow each area in the space to have a distinct character. The transition between each area will involve steps, which can define the transition from kitchen to living to dining. It is also possible to incorporate other functions into split-level spaces. The upper mezzanine in this space doubles as a home office, and in the evenings, a play area. This design is really dramatic, and split levels work well on tight sites where space is at a premium and building up is the only option. But it's also possible to create subtle split level open plan like this L-shaped layout, which has some steps between the living and dining areas. This was done to solve a practical problem because the rear garden sloped upwards away from the house and the client wanted to be able to walk straight out. This also increases the floor to ceiling height in the lower area, adding some drama to the space. So those are our 3 different ideas for open plan kitchen living spaces, but how do you choose between them? Which one is right for your project? Well, in my experience, once other factors like budget and the existing site conditions are taken into account, the main thing to consider is what stage of life are you at? If you have a young family, a rectangular open plan space could be hell on earth. There's nowhere to hide. Everyone can see and hear everyone else. For young families, the L-shaped open plan is the best. Everyone can be in the same room without getting in each other's way. Someone can watch TV while other people are doing homework or cooking dinner. And having an L-shaped open plan or split level means you are less likely to see the dirty dishes in the sink. The rectangular open plan space was designed for a retired couple whose children had grown up and no longer lived at home. They were comfortable in each other's company and didn't need to worry about noise or other distractions. The L-shaped open plan space was designed for a couple with several young children. The split-level open plan space was designed for a family with only one child. Over the years, I've had several clients with teenage children, and for whatever reason, they usually decide that open plan doesn't work for them. These clients often ask for a separate living space so the teens and adults can be apart if they need to be.
That is so unfair! I hate you!
Knowing this has led me to suggest separate living rooms for younger families. They may not need them now, but at least the option exists in the future. It might sound mundane, but designing spaces to suit how people actually live is central to what I do. I guess this is why open plan kitchen living spaces seldom work for property developers. They don't know in advance who will buy their homes, so they can't easily design open plan layouts to suit. What works for one family won't work for another. The design's success depends on what stage of life they're in. Now might be a good time to mention that if you are thinking of altering, extending or building new in the UK, I offer online consultations via the reallifearchitect.co.uk website. I've put a link up here and in the description. It's also important to note that an open plan space can play a huge role in determining how your home will flow overall. Any well-designed home should have a clear split between public and private space. But what do I mean by public space? Surely every space in a home is private. Well, not really. Some areas are more private than others. A more public space would be where you feel comfortable greeting a stranger or guest to your home. In all the open plan examples I showed, I designed an entrance into the space, and in 2 cases, it was the main entrance to the home. In each example, the open plan space was the hub for family life, with the bedrooms, hallway and bathrooms being more private. Guests don't have to walk past the kids' toys and dirty laundry, they can come straight into the wow space. So the house now has a clear split between spaces which are more public and more private. I also love to create an intermediate space between an open plan living area and the rear garden of a house. A space which is neither fully indoors or fully outdoors, where you can sit and enjoy the garden more often and which will shade the living space on really sunny days. On a practical level, open plan spaces should always have a separate utility room. No matter what layout the space is, if the washing machine is in the same room, it will be impossible to ignore. And kitchens also create a lot of moisture and smells, so having both mechanical air extractors and cross ventilation is a must. So there you have it. My design ideas for open plan kitchen living spaces. If you like what you saw, hit the subscribe button. I make new videos every week.